When it gets colder like this, a lot of people might not think the trails in the marsh are necessarily a good place to hike or walk this time of year, but that is far from the truth. So here's a look at the trails this time of year and some of the wildlife you may want to look for.
So some people might think this is a time of year you wouldn't be out on the trails, but as it turns out, there's plenty to do this time of year.
There's still a lot to look at. There's always something interesting. Maybe see a beaver lodge, maybe see muskrat lodges, and I see something really interesting right here. Well, this is really cool because what we're actually seeing is a beaver chew. And if you look really closely, first of all, you can see actual teeth marks. So that's where they were actually chewing. And then down here, you can actually see pieces of wood that came off from them chewing.
And as we walked on the Myrick Park Trail, Stephanie explained you should be able to see beaver and its much smaller cousin, the muskrat, throughout the winter because they don't hibernate. The two are often confused, but the lodges they build can help you tell them apart.
Okay, so here's one over here. There's a lodge. So how do you know, Stephanie, if it's a muskrat or a beaver lodge?
Well, actually, the two are often confused, but the difference is the muskrat lodge is a lot smaller. Also, the muskrat lodge is made of mud and grasses, like the grasses that we see here. So that what they do is they build that up sort of like a little triangle of mud and plants, basically. And that's the muskrat lodge. The difference with the beaver lodge, mud and sticks. The other thing about beaver lodges is they're way bigger. So a beaver lodge would be like as tall as we are.
But not all of their building is thought to be constructive, sometimes damming up waterways. That's why trapping is still popular.
Some people might say that the beaver are just really destructive when you see things like this, but isn't that just kind of part of nature?
Well, that's part of nature, and this is a marsh, so wetland does not usually have trees in it. And I mean, that's just part of nature, and that's just what beavers do. And they need to eat, and they're part of the food chain like the other animals on this wetland.
Now, a lot of people may not even know it. There's still trapping of muskrat and beaver that's legal in our area.
Yes, you have to be 50 feet away from the trail, and you can get a license to trap muskrats and beavers in this marsh area.
And there are some benefits to the muskrat being in the marsh. They do create some important space for other animals to live.
But the other thing that muskrats do is they do actually eat a lot of the plants. And so that's kind of neat because then they create open areas for other birds, for example, like ducks, to have places to go and find food to eat and make their nests and etc. So they do create openings for other animals as well.
And as the weather turns colder and the water starts to freeze, when the ice is thick enough, you can actually walk out to the lodges to check them out up close. So the next time you're out on the trails, even in winter, keep an eye out for some of the wildlife that stays busy right through the coldest months of the year.
And as far as telling the two apart, take a look. Muskrats are only about 4 pounds and have a rat-like tail, as you can see there. And then while a beaver is actually 40 pounds with a large white flat tail. That's how you can tell the difference.